Hey everybody, it's Marlon. This message is for friends, family, and foe. It's time for me to get back to doing what I love. Many of you didn't know, back in the early 2000s, I was a conservative talk radio host. Now, life events have sort of changed my political perspective. If I had a choice, I'd be dead center, an absolute centrist. I even wish there were a third party to represent other interests. There's not, so you kind of go one way or the other, although I'd like to challenge that whole idea. Nonetheless, ever so slightly left of center, I have to tackle issues that affect me and my family. My health was probably the biggest movement further left than center because I realized health insurance companies are really only interested in profit. And in a nation as wealthy as ours, health and education isn't something that people should be worried about. And it certainly isn't something it should bankrupt people over. And it does. Nonetheless, after the Let Them Play California movement in 2021, where we fought the governor and won over draconian COVID restrictions, I was reminded that I do have a voice, and I am obligated to use it. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm starting a new show, a new podcast. It'll be available on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, Twitter, and podcasts where you find your favorite programs. I wanted to give you a little taste of what we've got coming.
Welcome to the Divided States of America show, where your host, Marlon Gardenera, takes on the most divisive issues in our divided nation. We'll sort through the best and worst of politics and culture, asking questions and looking for answers that our two-ring, two-party circus has failed to provide. And here is your host, Marlon Gardenera.
All right, just a glimpse. I plan on starting next Tuesday, July 5th, weekdays at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Again, YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter. But this didn't come out of the sky. A good friend of mine said, "You got a big mouth, use it." And I really enjoyed fighting for kids. So again, I'm back. But today, I kind of had an unusual thing. Well, not really unusual. KUSI, a local station in San Diego, called me in and they wanted my reaction to the coach up in Washington who, again, another Supreme Court decision came out saying he was allowed to pray after the game. Paul Rudy, Papa Pig from KUSI's Prep Pigskin Report and the Morning Anchor, wanted to know what I thought. So I'm going to play you that interview because it's sort of a coming out. It was, I guess, the first time I realized it was really time to start. So I am. Here's the interview from earlier today.
Cited in favor of Washington State high school football coach Joe Kennedy, who got fired for praying at the 50-yard line after games. The justices ruling 6-3 that the school district violated Coach Kennedy's first right amendments, saying the coach's prayers amounted to private speech protected by the First Amendment. He began the practice of reciting a post-game prayer by himself, but eventually other students joined in, including players.
What kind of message does that send, that I should hide who I am and my beliefs? Bremerton is one of the most diverse schools and inclusive schools around. And, everybody should be, free to be themselves, no matter what it is.
And joining me to talk more about this very topic and the Supreme Court's decision is Coach Marlon Gardenera from Scripps Ranch Football. I should mention, defending state champion, about to get his season started. Oh, we're in the...
It's wherever I go.
Yeah, well, I'd wear it with pride, too. How many people could say they're California state champions? And then, just not to get off the track, but the school is also state champion in basketball, too.
That's
so
right.
what a blessed year you all enjoyed. All right, your general reaction to what happened.
Not surprised. I'm a believer. Jesus is in school if you believe. At my school, we have Fellowship of Christian Athletes, FCA. We meet every Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. So I think there's a time and a place for people to express who they are with like-minded people. On a football field during a game, maybe not. Before the game as part of the motivational speech in a public school, I don't know. That's not why they're there. At a parochial school, of course, it's a centerpiece of what you're trying to accomplish. But a person's ability to speak and say what they believe when they're not doing their primary job, their primary role, why not?
Well, Supreme Court Justice Sotomayor, in her dissent, wrote that, well, yeah, it might have been voluntary, but coaches are always going to favor kids who join them in their whatever, be a workout program or a prayer session, and that there will be favoritism involved, and consequently you're encouraging people to join when we're supposed to be separating church and state. So your reaction to that? Is that just natural for a coach to favor kids who?
Listen, if you're going to speak your truth, you need to be ready to deal with what comes with it. On Friday nights, coaches are loved or hated, and if you add another element or reason for people to hate you, or in their mind why little Johnny's not playing, they're going to use it. I think there are going to be some situations where it'll be tough. If everything you do leans in one particular direction at the expense of or the feelings of someone else, that separation is going to exist, whether it's the church and the state or the coach and the kids. Here's the reality. In football, we have a list of common bonds. If you're coaching based on those common bonds, you're probably not going to run into those problems. But you should still have the choice to be who you are in the appropriate time and the appropriate place. After a game, I can tell you after the state championship game, I was certainly thankful. I said a little prayer. But that line is when you do require, or it does become a part of what you're out there to do. We're out there to teach young men how to thrive, and young ladies. We get them every year. Is God a part of that? It is for me and my motivation for giving to kids, giving back, pouring into them. But that's not what brings them to us. So as a coach, if the game, the sport, and the things you think you can get from it are the primary purpose, that's where the focus and attention is. But again, that doesn't take away my ability to speak or pray or think about what's important to me.
And we're all formed by our personal experiences. For those who don't know, you were lying in a hospital bed not knowing if you were ever going to leave that hospital room. I imagine that shaped your opinions on some of these matters.
There's no question. Prayer works. I'm still here. But I understand for the person that doesn't believe. And what I'm actually more curious to see is when our Muslim brothers go out with a prayer mat. And what will people's reaction be when the religion isn't the primary one that I think our current Supreme Court sort of is in line with themselves personally. So this is not going to be without controversy. There are going to be schools and parents and issues as this walks forward, but I think preserving one's right to be yourself is still very important.
Well, that's an excellent example. What's going to happen then?
This is going to open up a can of worms. If you're a believer and you think that's important, I think you're prepared to deal with that. You have to be fair. You can't put it on other people. And I'll just say this. I am a believer. I have strong beliefs. But I don't think that it's my responsibility to put my beliefs on anyone. So again, that line and distinction here is what you do voluntarily, what people want to be a part of, versus what you make them be a part of. Huge, huge difference.
Some of these sound bites are going to work against you as far in the state of California because this is not the widely held opinion about the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, and I'm with that, and I'll even go to Crazyville. I'm pro-life, but no woman should ever have to check with me or my beliefs or when I think life begins to decide what's best for her. It kind of goes in line consistently for me across all boards. I am who I am, I believe what I believe, and that's for me to do. And I don't think anybody should, well, Governor Newsom knows, maybe not try to get in the way of what I think is important. But when I put what I think on other people, that's when it becomes a problem. Back when we were fighting in football for COVID, I wasn't fighting to force kids to play. If you believed it wasn't safe, it wasn't for you, you had that choice. It'll be the same if I decide at the end of a game to take a knee and give thanks to God for what I've received.
I recall us talking about a political campaign, perhaps with your name on the ballot, running for school board. That has been shelved until?
At least 2024.
Explain why?
Scripps Ranch was moved to another sub-district, so it's not up for a vote. We've unfortunately had to go 6 years now without getting a say in what happens in the San Diego Unified School District. Our current trustee isn't being trusted by many. We're not being seen by many. So Scripps Ranch has that void, and it's unfortunate. But there's really no chance of keeping me quiet. If the school board isn't the place for me to talk and be heard and make sure that we're considering more people. We live in the divided states of America right now.
Right, absolutely.
And if someone doesn't start speaking to it, there's going to be little wars and little pockets of things happening that I don't think anybody's going to be happy with. So I think I'm going back to I used to do a little conservative talk radio. I think I'm going to go to the podcasting world. I think the show might be called the Divided States of America Show.
Yes, but Coach, I mean, I know you a little bit. I don't think of you as a staunch right or conservative. I think you're, by California standards, you're as middle of the road as they come.
I want to be, and I don't really want to identify one way or the other. I want to identify, obviously, primarily for kids, for my family and our interests. And I really want people to stop going back and forth as if there's only two choices in life. Imagine if in your entire life you only could choose between
Left and right.
left and right,
Yeah.
two cars,
Right.
two anything, and you only got to choose one of them. I don't think that's really how we identify. So I know when I go back to the airwaves or I go back to a political fight, it's going to be trying to take into consideration more people and what makes people happier and what makes the world go around a little bit better. And if you choose not to be a part of that, that's your choice. But, I want people to have choices. I want people to live fruitful lives. We used to say we the people. Right now, it's a whole lot of me the people. So I want to address that.
I know we got off a little topic here, but you'd be a formidable candidate in any elect. Now, granted, I understand the importance of school boards and why it's significant to you. You had kids come through the system and everything. But I mean, aim a little higher. I mean, there are other offices that you would be a formidable candidate.
It's like football. I've spent, after death, my heart stopped. I'm back. I had a transplant. I'm still here. I've been motivated by my children. I coached football because of my children. I wanted to work on the school board because I still have a sophomore at Scripps Ranch High School, and I see and hear things that they just don't make sense. And I wanted someone to be readily available to represent the parents, their interests, what matters to them, and have those tough conversations as opposed to, well, I'm on this side and I'm on that side. Well, this is where we need to be, and what are we going to do to get there, as opposed to people thinking they're going to get everything they want. It's not an all or nothing thing. So I haven't cut off those possibilities, but I do want to practice talking about it again. I do want to get back out there, but I don't rule it out.
Can we, with that camera right there,
Sure.
can we hold up that ring real quick?
I can do that.
And
I can do that.
just quickly, Coach, how good are you guys going to be this fall?
Different team, different year, 2 returners from that offense. That was unbelievable. Toughest division, I think, in San Diego.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a rough road.
Yeah, but you have a great quarterback.
Fantastic young man.
Well, Coach, my offer still stands. When you need your campaign manager, if you'll have me, I'm in.
I'll call you.
The high court side.
Well, you heard it straight from Paul's ears. It's time for me to get back to what I love doing. I love talking, I love politics, and I love fighting for things that are important to a whole lot of people. I intend to do that on a daily basis when we get back to the show. Again, I'd like to start July 5th, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and Twitter. You'll also be able to find it where you find your favorite podcasts. I hope you join us. If you're politically inclined, if you're just a friend curious what I'm up to now, you know where to find me. I'll be hosting the Divided States of America show. Hope to see you there.
Thanks for watching the Divided States of America show. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to the channel and share this video with your family and friends.